Thank you so much for being with us on a Tuesday night. On behalf of First Amendment Sports, thank God it's Tuesday. I'm Ken Meringolo. He's Tim Strachan.
I hate the fact I can't hear the music. I don't know when the beat drops anymore. It's just.
Wait, did you used to be able to hear it?
Yes.
Oh, man. I
Now
don't know.
I can't hear it anymore.
Can you hear it?
And it's such an uncomfortable 30 seconds of looking at you.
I think we should let T do it because in the early 2000s, when he had those apple bottom jeans and then boots with the fur, when he would hear the beat drop, he would get low. I think he dropped down to get his eagle on, sir.
We can do that.
His eagle on, I said. Remember that one?
We can get low.
Are you getting low?
Look at him. I told you.
All right, be careful when you get high again.
This dude's funky as hell.
He's Kevin Ricca.
And I'm happy to be back hanging out with you guys, man. Let's talk about some commander stuff because we got a lot of commandeers that we got signed up. So we don't need to go through all of them, but
we don't need to go through
there's a couple of them we can talk about.
We have Brad and Eric, manner of speaking, on the board so far. We appreciate you guys. If you have not yet, Capital Hoops was with us. They're no longer joining us. If you've not yet done so, please subscribe to First Amendment Sports. It's free. Give us a thumbs up if you see or hear anything you like. Appreciate you guys. We just did a WCAC tournament primer for the greatest high school basketball tournament in the country. We're going to be courtside this weekend for, just one of the best shows around. So we were joined by Mark Stern at Capital Hoops to talk about it. If you haven't had a chance to see that, if you are so inclined to watch great high school basketball, please.
It's awesome.
Check us out this weekend. We usually have everything on our YouTube channel, on this very channel, and anyone can watch it whenever they want. These tournaments go behind a paywall, so we appreciate your support. If you are, in fact, interested in watching the WCAC tournament, the three of us will be calling the games, and it won't let you down.
It's the best money you'll spend this weekend.
Yep,
There's
and
no doubt
it
about it.
goes to a good spot, so the money goes to a good place. So appreciate you guys for that.
All to the WCAC.
All to wait, we're up to 5 point. Sorry, yes, and also 5.01K followers. Now it was a while we were stuck on 5K, but the 0.01K. We appreciate everybody out there who's been working hard. Our subscription.
I think you have to jump out of a cake now, Kev.
Well, if Ken keeps on sending these photographs out, seems like we're doing pretty good. We're getting like tens a week.
That was for insurance. Those were for insurance. Oh, Pam, what is going on? I appreciate the subscription. All right, let's talk about. Pam. Let's talk. And by the way, what we're going to do tonight, everybody who comments during the show live, we will pick at random somebody who will win from our newly established bin of
prize
gear. Yeah, and let me just tell you something. Some of these things,
prize center is over there. It's great.
Some of these things are incredibly ghetto fabulous. Some you don't want, but you're going to get them.
A win is a win. Doesn't matter what it is.
You're going to get something free. We got this. I found some stuff today. That's my an old bandwagon banner. I mean, straight from Kornheiser, straight from the Washington Post in the good old days. That's got to go right in the picture every single time. So I'm not going to give that away. We do have a couple more of those. We have some 90s. I tell you what, if anyone says they want some 90s game day programs, we got them here for you.
Oh man, I mean that's hours of fun right there.
It's like a 71% chance we lost that day. Just keep that in mind.
It is. The rosters are so filthy, terrible. There's some great players, but we were so bad. So mostly T-shirts. You got some T-shirts coming, everybody. So we'll pick someone. Anyone who comments. And then I also, if people are still watching, I hope people are still watching.
We just started.
Haven't given up on us after 2 or 3 minutes.
Right.
We're going to start picking some random subscribers as well, and start handing out some free stuff there too. So we have some good stuff, but for the most part, these are like this like handmade gear, old school. Like Kevin Ewald and I made up in the old days. Some of it's terrible, but some of it's not terrible.
You made it sound
some of it's so terrible that it's awesome.
True, but he also made it sound like it was like old school Price is Right back there.
You can kind of pick.
I remember Double Dare had that little it was like, well, what is going to be in there? And guess what? Diane Park, she's not modeling it, and then I think Ken should, so we can get a point of reality. That would be.
I thought
Double Dare. Was that with the goo?
Yeah.
always,
Yeah, that was
and you had to put your hand up the big
Really
nose
was.
to get the flag out.
It really.
I don't know
booger
why,
nose, yeah.
but it was awesome.
The
I loved it.
easier,
I wanted to do it so
they had like a
bad.
pizza, and all you had to do was just like slide your hand around to get the flag. That was easy. But the nose was
Yeah,
something
the nose
else.
is gross, but
Yeah.
I don't care if it's for a cool prize.
Mark Summer.
I've been picking my nose for 48 years flush with no reward, to be honest. So
All right, so let's see
The
if I
booger
can't.
itself, dude.
Let's see if we can't get our red pens out here.
not as satisfying as it used to be.
We're gonna tally up some of these Super Bowl props because we do have a winner to
Oh, we
crown.
do?
Yeah, because we weren't on last week. Last week we did a basketball game.
That's right.
So we weren't here. But I thought it's more important to start with, probably because I lost this, so we can move on to other things, at least initially. The coaching staff, what Washington's been doing under Dan Quinn, and I'll lead it off by saying, on one hand, McDonald. I'm not going to say he's struggling to put a coaching staff together in Seattle.
He is struggling.
But Kevin would say that. No,
put
he's
a coaching staff in
100%
Seattle.
struggling to put a coaching staff
He
together.
is. He's like 14. He's like, who are these guys? Does anyone know any of these guys?
It's like a lot of.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing to believe in the youngest coach in the league and give him a 6-year contract and give him a ton of money. It's another thing to ask a bunch of other people to move their families to Seattle so that they can join the staff of the youngest coach in the National Football League with potentially Geno Smith as a quarterback. So,
But I think we talked about that, right? Not last week because we weren't here, but the week before. Is that this is probably what we need, is this type of coach, a coach that has been there, who has learned from his mistakes and is willing and ready and excited to come back and prove that those mistakes can be corrected.
well, this is a staff and a half
No,
for proving
and
some
he's
things.
exactly, and his being a veteran and being well respected is going to bring well respected people towards him. So look, it's starting every week. It just feels like more and more this was the right thing to do.
Let's do, since we're on a roll, and this is kind of how we did our first show tonight. Let's keep it going. Let's everybody pick a guy. We'll talk about him at large, but let's pick a guy. Pick a guy that we've hired as a coach T in the last week and a half or 2 weeks. That kind of whatever you can say. I'll start with it, and I won't take a big one. Let's say Anthony Lynn. Is that your number one guy?
I mean, it really was.
Anthony Lynn, hiring him away and to us and to come here and run our running game. It's a big deal. He was absolutely a head coaching candidate again in this league. Yes, he's a quote unquote retread when it comes to head coaches, but if you really want to go back and look at that San Diego, I believe it was San Diego, front office and what was going on with the Spanos and everything happening within that. I mean, they freaking moved to a different city. It was just chaos. It didn't happen for him out there. But he's a dude. Everyone knows it. He's a professional. He's well respected. Players love him, and he is. He can go wherever he wants to go. He's a guy that goes where Anthony Lynn wants to go. He's not out holding up a sign, looking for work. He picked this. He came here because of everything we've been talking about. Dan Quinn. It's a huge addition to our coaching staff, and they're among many. But that was the first. I didn't want to take your number one, but that's an obvious one.
I just have so much respect for the guy. You start doing a little check in on him, and you see that everyone else feels the same way. And I thought it just would jump right into my head. But no, you can go ahead, T. Since Ken took my first one, what am I doing over here?
Right. So I'm actually going to go even further back, and I held my tongue 2 weeks ago on Kingsbury. I didn't love it at first, but for the same reasons that we were just talking about Quinn, I'm loving it more. I think he's a guy that had a shot at being a head coach. Didn't work out. He got to kind of sit in the background and be a part of things and try to really think about what he needs to do. And this is his first opportunity since then to prove himself. And I think that, again, just plays into this whole narrative of what we're seeing in D.C. right now with this football team. And I'm excited as hell now, way more than I was 2 weeks ago, about what he is planning to do with his offensive mind, and it's all going to come down to who we get, right?
Yep.
That he's going to work with. So that's where right now my focus.
You might already have him though, right? It could be Sam.
Could be.
Kev.
I'm in love with the NFL lifer, the guy who is the son of a coach, Joe Witt Jr. He obviously was born and raised similar to just the way I was. My family paid our bills and ate dinner because of football, and obviously he did it. But his dad did it at the high school and college level. I adore that he grew up that way and that he has had success and he has bided his time. Waited. They said his dream job in the history of his life, guys, was to be the defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. Well, his opportunity just occurred. Dan Quinn got swept off his feet, taken out east, and he was going to be able to stay right there. And it was obvious who was going to be the defense, and he chose Dan Quinn. And that's what I adore about this hire.
Why not do it
He
from
chose
the guy that taught you,
Dan
right?
Quinn and Washington, D.C. And that means, and by the way, our defense was such a disgusting batch of whatever last year that whoever comes in was going to have some success, you would imagine. But this is the type of guy, and he's surrounding himself with guys from different backgrounds. That's just so horrendous. So horrendous every time you do it. Every time he does it, it's so horrendous. My wife's like, why is there 6 portobellos on your
right butt cheek?
lower back? I'm like,
mushroom bruises everywhere.
God's sake.
It's a very tight situation.
I was talking about Joe Witt Jr. I don't know what happened to Ken. He started acting all crazy and running around back here.
What's up, Rhett?
Yeah.
Greg Martin, AGH. Good to see you guys. You're officially entered into the running for our free giveaway this evening. Joe.
I think I just won the first prize, and I didn't want it. I didn't want it at all.
I would say that I think this is one thing we did get to say 2 weeks ago. Joe Witt Jr. basically guarantees that we get Dan Quinn's defense without Dan Quinn having to worry about doing it. He's freed from being defensive play calling coordinator or what but because Joe Witt can do it, and he also has the ability, the potential. He's got to come in and do it, but he has the potential to inject some Joe Witt into it, So you're going to get the Dan Quinn schemes and Dan Quinn style, and it remains to be seen if this up and coming defensive coordinator type, mind can, advance the ball, turn this into something even better than it already is, and that's one thing, and we have been able to do that on the offensive side of the ball a lot over recent years. I mean, the league is littered with our former offensive assistants. These are men who have littered. I mean, they're everywhere, and they have absolutely
coaches.
Taken it to the next step. They've done good things, they've done great things, they've innovated. So we haven't had a lot of defensive coaches be innovators. And I love that Dan Quinn. It'll be Dan Quinn's style, but Joe Witt's stamp. And so we'll see how that shakes out. There's other the staff is obviously more than these guys, free for all on other hires. I mean, I think from top to bottom, you're basically talking about the kind of staff that had we hired Mike McDonald, we would not have.
And here's what I love about this staff: it's the variation. It's not Ron Rivera not bringing everyone from Carolina. It's not just somebody bringing their whole entire staff. The perspectives that we have in this staff, and we understand who we got. But right now, you have to understand. In the last 30 Super Bowls, we have representatives of 11 of those teams. 7 different franchises represented on this coaching staff. 7 different Super Bowl winning coaches right now, including our head coach and both coordinators. Kingsbury won one in Super Bowl 38 when he was a member of the Patriots. He saw the Patriot way, how it was done. Joe Witt Jr., the cornerback coach in Green Bay when Aaron Rodgers gets his first one. And we know Dan Quinn in Seattle. So I'm just saying from that point forward, there's 7 other guys with rings, including Larry Izzo is going to be my pick.
Because, okay, good.
Our special teams coordinator is a badass son of a bitch. That's right.
Yeah, he is.
3-time Pro Bowler, I believe. He was just a 4-time Super Bowl champ, including going over to the Giants after his career ended as a special teams assistant and winning a Super Bowl with them, which is what he's coming here to do after he was incredible in Seattle at what he did. This is the type of guy, like all these weirdo special teams coordinators that come from wherever. This dude came from right in front of our face on Sundays, winning Super Bowl after Super Bowl. It's pretty cool.
Because he's had a pen and a paper in his hand ever since he left Atlanta, and he's been taking notes, and he's been watching people. Exactly why he hired Kingsbury, right? The hardest guy I had to defend. That's who
I loved it. I love it.
Yep.
The guy that maxed me out.
He's not just going with his bros that he's been going with the whole time. He's going out and he's specifically saying this is a plan. This is why I'm sure McDonald had one too. It just wasn't as tenured and as matured as Quinn's was.
He's graduated out of the comfort zone. He understands that's not how you win in this league. And I think that's exactly McDonald doesn't really have a comfort zone at this age yet with guys. And you can't just take everyone from Baltimore. They like it there. It's a great place to be. So another thing. But yes, throughout the course of the league, I mean, Ken Norton Jr. at linebacker, Dallas and San Fran, Joe Witt Jr., Anthony Lynn. I mean, Anthony Lynn doing it in Denver, backing up TD. That's nuts. Back in the day, like with the origin of fantasy football, I was like, Anthony Lynn, that name sounds familiar. I forgot that he was out and about running that ball. He was a good player, man.
He was a good player. Yeah. Eric Anderson asks, will they gel? A lot of different views on how to win. I think the reason why the answer to that is yes is because of Dan Quinn. These guys are all coming.
It's a very fair question.
It's Quinn's job to make sure that they gel. I mean, obviously, it's adults with certain personalities, but if they don't get along, it's Quinn's job to make sure they get along.
This checks and balances system makes sure everyone better get along because everyone's got a voice. You don't have a passing game coordinator, a head coach, offensive coordinator, a passing game coordinator, and a run game coordinator. Well, guys got to be on the same page here. We all have to figure it out. That's
the beauty of Dan Quinn not having to be the defensive coordinator.
Exactly.
His job is to make it work.
CEO.
And he's going to CEO the shit out of it. The other thing I kind of have been enjoying, is it just Dallas who shut the spigot off for us to be getting
Al
coaches?
Harris would have been so cool too, man. He's such a cool ex-player, but I get it.
They at some point other teams were like, all right, listen, no more. You can't take any more of our guys.
Well, I guess if it's a lateral move, it can be blocked. Yeah, if it's not a increase in pay, which I learned from the.
That's right. You can't just pay him more. You got to give him you got to give him a title. Right. I think that there was definitely the
title anything you want.
But they've created the incrementally better title. Like assistant head coach became a thing for one of those reasons. So that you basically got to hire a guy to be a head coach to give him a promotion. I love when teams say you can't even interview our guys anymore because you've taken too many of them. I especially love that it was Dallas
by the way, they got Mike Zimmer. I'm sure he's a great coach, but such a turd to be around. Dan Quinn's a dynamic ball of energy and excitement, and Mike Zimmer is like a fart at church. You're like, I mean, it's great, but I can't burst out laughing. His interviews, they stink. He's so
sour. He's
an
like
old
Bruce
grunt.
Boudreaux.
No, I'm not saying I wouldn't love playing for him. I'm just saying I wouldn't like to be around him all the time. He's he's grumpy as shit. He's a get off your lawn guy. We just
lost Zimmer as a listener.
Sorry, we lost the whole Zimmer family.
Sorry, I'm sure he's fun
nice
to have.
having you.
Yeah,
bud.
but they will remember well that I advocated
for
Mike Zimmer when we hired Jay Gruden. I wanted Zimmer. Those are the two guys that were.
That would have been boring.
Probably. It would have been real boring considering what Jay Gruden has turned into over the last few years. Super boring. Winning all those 6 or 7 games this season. And he would have gotten Kirk Cousins earlier, instead of getting him later. Because that clearly worked out between the two of those guys.
As long as you get him.
As long as you get some Kirk Cousins time. All right, so coaching staff is, for the most part, I think it's a win. And I also do think it shows. I know there's still like this narrative that some people like to say, and I don't agree with it. I don't think you guys do either. Like, we didn't get our last choice. You know what I mean? Like, we didn't. We conducted a process, and I very much believe that not only were they looking for a strong, fiery leader, not just a good coordinator, but they wanted somebody who could build a staff. They said that over and over again. The proof is in the pudding, and right now we're eating $240 worth of pudding, Barry and Levon style. That's a state reference. It's one of the best shows ever.
Pudding.
And so so that is a huge win for Josh Harris and his whole. First to go with this. Again, these guys got to show up and do the job, but so far, so good.
I love that Magic Johnson intervened and stole Kingsbury right out of Las Vegas. Did you read this?
Yes.
It's so amazing.
It is kind of nuts.
Antonio Pierce was like, in a podcast this week, was like, yep. What are you going to do? You know, old Magic swoops in. You got maybe it wasn't supposed to be. He gave someone one of those answers. You know, maybe it wasn't supposed to be. But no, you wanted him. You had him, and you guys wouldn't give him that one extra year. He just wanted 3 years on his deal in Vegas.
Yeah,
and they wouldn't budge on 2. That's so dumb.
It is so dumb.
Dumb. But
Raiders.
I
love
hope
Antonio
it
Pierce,
works
by
out
the
for
way.
us. I'm not just being a big homer. These hires need to pan out, but
That's
I just think the brain power that we've now put under one roof is supposed to be not one person. There's no more dictator. This is a voice of a bunch of people, a bunch of really winning humans, and that's what I love about it.
It's like, I hate to, just because my name ends in a vowel, I hate to use like the organized crime analogy, but it's like it is a guy who's in charge, but everyone, it's like you want to work with pros. Because because the one guy who's going to get you all busted, if he's
Bobby Johnson better be an earner.
Bobby Johnson
he better be an earner.
I'm
telling you, Bobby.
You always keep your mouth shut and you never ride your friends.
Hey, real quick, Bobby Johnson's last 2 years in Buffalo gave up a league second lowest 27 sacks a year in those last 2 years. He's for real. Let's just not just point the finger at him because of last year.
That's right,
Bobby J. Come on, get your earn on.
Happening there. We don't know what was happening.
And could care less. I think he's
know better than anybody that a lot of different crap can happen in a coaching.
No doubt.
Yes.
And we specifically brought him here for this reason. And our offensive coordinator wanted to make sure our quarterback running game was shored up. And who better to have than Josh Allen and Daniel Jones. He's so forgettable. Josh Allen and Daniel Jones for 3 years in a row were in the top 3 in quarterback rushing. So that's why we wanted him here. He's the right guy. So go out and get on the mean streets, buddy, and start earning. Start bringing that cash to the capos, brother.
Everybody has to pay. All right, so there you go. We got a staff, and now it comes time to put some players on that field.
So many of them. Thank God we have all these cap spaces because we need them all.
Rob H. Let's see. Robert Cohen's in the house now. I don't know. Rob H looks like he's new. He's in the running for a free giveaway today.
He's an old school guy, and he's been around.
44,
he's been
13.
around. He's very happy about the ownership group being the hog, not the other one.
Appreciate the subscriptions and thumbs, everybody. Thank you so much. Get on the bandwagon. We're bringing it back out, and I don't think it's a coincidence that I dug these out of my closet today. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh man, that's going right on the table. I mean, not to regress all the way back there, but might be top 2, top 3 all-time Redskins things. However you want to define like a Redskins, like the bandwagon.
Kornheiser's bandwagon.
Kornheiser's bandwagon. It was the column, but it became more than that.
It was a big deal, man.
It was a phenomenon, and it I'll never forget it.
It was the first time anything went viral.
I guess that's probably true.
It was viral without the digital age. It was viral in the analog.
And it had help from the Fun Bunch. And obviously
sure.
the Hogs are the Hogs, but we had the Fun Bunch, dude.
The Fun Bunch.
The Smurfs. Everyone was always trying to give us nicknames. We were so relevant in the 80s. We were a factor in the 80s. A major, major factor. Let's get back.
I'm excited for there to be the possibility of a bandwagon again. And I think I wrote, like, I know it was in high school, like maybe a 8th grade or freshman year, something like that. And I wrote, like, I submitted an entry into a essay contest at the Washington Post.
Are you confessing?
My seats are in row 8, section C.
It was like,
you're always down on my end.
You're always down on my end. It was probably to some person who has the worst job at Washington Post of all time. He has to read high school essays. He or she has to read high school essays, and they're not even allowed in the building. Probably, I probably spent at least half of my essay angling towards talking, and I talking about the bandwagon and talking about the. I mean, I had 0. I didn't win, by the way, in case you were wondering. I don't even. They might have balled up my thing and threw it. The whole thing was like, please tell Tony I love the bandwagon. I mean, that's all. It was like, and that is why I think democracy will. I mean, it was like it was a high school essay on something like that. That I talked about the bandwagon the whole time. My parents were probably like, "What's wrong with you?" So, anyways, that's.
And that's how the bandwagon bill became a law.
And that's how the bandwagon bill became a law. I love you, bandwagon.
Bill.
All right, so where are we going from here? March 13th opens up free agency. There's a couple days of legal tampering that happened before then, and more days of illegal tampering that happened even before those legal tampering days. So March 13th, we can start signing free agents. I would like to queue up next week a free agency show. I want us to talk about the positions of need, the guys who are available. Now, we have a lot of money, and it's going to have to get spent. We're going to have to spend some money, and there's guys out there who are going to be absolutely available. So I don't want to put anyone on the spot. I want to really save it for next week. But we can't do anything right now, obviously. We can't sign anybody. We're not even sure of every single potential free agent. There's still going to be some moves to be made by other teams. But without going into a big, long thing, does anyone want to throw out one name of a guy that they want us to get?
I would take Patrick Queen from the Baltimore Ravens.
Patrick Queen is top 2, top 3. You see, we're going back and forth right now.
That's
He's
really
the guy.
only name that, because here's why. Ken Norton Jr. cannot, I repeat, cannot coach a room with no linebackers in it. And right now,
this is true.
And right now, that's how it looks.
We need him to be one
It
of them.
does not look great. Well, he'd be fine.
Ken Norton,
But
I
would say that's the one name that I'm like, hey, who could be pissed at that? Like
nobody.
and he's pissed at that.
He's going somewhere. I don't think Baltimore has the ability to re-sign him.
And him and Jamin Davis running around, and Jamin's coming into his own a little bit, but with a guy like Patrick next to him, he would certainly benefit.
It would be a huge upgrade. One name?
I don't think I can come up with something better than
Okay. Patrick Queen is by far a huge addition at a gigantic position of need. Along the offensive line, I think there's a couple guys named Jonah who are available. I mean, there's not a ton of number, like top tier, everything.
We've all been looking.
Yes. There's a couple guards who could come in and potentially be, next level. I want to say, is it Jonah Johnson or Jonah? There's 2 Jonahs, and I'm my
There's
dyslexia
actually
is
3.
There's 3 Jonahs.
No,
Damn it. If we sign one of the Jonahs,
I never even know how many Jonahs there are. This is terrible.
Don't be Joning. Oh, NES. Right as we go to Joning.
Did you just say Joning?
Jonah-ing. That was a little Joning joke. I don't necessarily need a wide receiver like Mike Evans, Greg, only because I think it's going to cost a lot of money. And I mean, who doesn't want Mike Evans on their team? I mean, if that, I
think we want to be that legitimate right away.
Yes,
that would send a message.
It sends a huge message. I think I phrased that wrong when I said about that I don't see. I just don't. I guess I have a hard time seeing us being the top bidder, given that we have so many holes to fill. But I will say also
we would snap that 10-year, 1,000-yard streak right away.
In the middle, not on the outside. Right now,
no doubt. Start in the middle.
There's
up front.
So then my guy would be Duggar, the safety from New England. I think he's 25, 26 years old. He's a big, strong safety. I think he's going to cost $17-18 million a year. I don't know if that's
no
if I'm mixing
relation
that up.
to the Mormon family.
I was going to say.
I don't think so.
I hope it's not that one.
I don't think so.
We don't need that one around here.
I think Duggar is a safety that could make a difference. And again, we're talking about up the middle. Patrick Queen, a Duggar type.
We just lost all the Duggars.
That's like 1,000. That's 1,000 people.
That's a shit ton of audience.
It just dipped under.
Jeez.
Weirdos.
Mike Evans is not too sexy for my shirt, but I will say I think we're gonna have to offer big time contracts to multiple Mike Evans types. And the reason why I say that is because I think that there's going to be if you're the Mike Evans of the world, and the guys who have achieved that status in the league, they're going to get their money from anyone. So they get to pick where they go. So I don't think every single Mike Evans that's available is going to want to come here, even though we have the money to pay him. So Mike, we might not get that might not get the actual Mike Evans, but if we get another Mike Evans guy, a top player,
there's a fake Mike Evans.
Two Mike Evans.
This is so bullshit.
for some people,
Do they know both Jonas?
Do they spell Mike the same?
For some people, Patrick Queen is your Mike Evans. For some people, Antoine Winfield is your Mike Evans. For other people, Mike Evans is their Mike Evans.
We're in the multiverse, right?
Yeah, we're in the multiverse. So I don't think that
Finkel is Einhorn.
Finkel is Einhorn.
Don't
Einhorn.
figure it out.
Einhorn's Finkel.
Don't figure it out. You're gonna hate yourself.
I now want Mike.
Finkel's
I want to
Einhorn.
now sign Mike Evans.
He would look super good.
And I want to go to an aquarium stat. He would be a great signing, for God's sake. You can't be mad at having a guy like that come in and teach everyone how to be. I mean, our receiving core becomes pretty badass right there. But like T and you and I were all saying earlier,
back is on the grass.
Most importantly, he might get signed. Like he's a guy that he can wait.
Yeah.
He can.
He's not
his
gonna-
market
he'll
will
be
be
fine.
his market.
I like T. Higgins a lot. You guys know I have since
I like
Clemson.
T. Higgins.
He's a legit number one wide receiver. So that would mean we would have two. And you can never have enough of those. So, but I also think he's going to be a guy who gets paid. I actually believe that Cincinnati will franchise him, as they should. They have another year to do. They have another year with Chase and Joe and all those guys signed up. So I believe he gets franchised. Then again, these are all things that are going to happen in the next week and a half.
And there's so many things that we haven't digested yet based on this coaching staff, the amount of respect and love and adoration that we've all heard about each and every single one of them coming from 10 different places. There's going to be a lot of guys that have a lot of tight-knit relationships with these individuals.
Yep.
That are going to have to go down and, no joke here, are going to have to sit down and have lunch with Eugene Shen and Dan Quinn and be like, here's the deal. I coached him at blah, blah, blah. No, I know, but this is part of it. This is it. I brought him up because he does have a major role in all of this. And when everyone sits down and figures out, it's not just about running a 4-3 and bench pressing this and making 12 sacks and blah, blah. It's about, is he nuts? Is he a family guy? Is he a worker? Is he a club dude? Like, we got to figure all this shit out from all these places. And we got a whole group of what I think is way above average moral human beings that are now in one place that we've needed for so long.
Yep.
So long, this is what we've needed. Now I think that will reveal itself in the type of players that we start signing and bringing into our franchise. And Rivera did a good job of that, but we'd like some of these really high moral character guys to also be badasses on the football field. That'd be nicer. So Rivera got us to the moral side.
Yes.
Now let's get some playmakers
He did.
who also enjoy just being good humans.
I want to say thank you to everybody out there who is so the ad situation is different now on Google. It used to be a ad on the front and that's all you got. Now they're mixing it in. So here's the deal. I have it set to the absolutely most conservative setting. It's the least amount of ads that come through. The other thing we could do is turn them all the way off. And just so you know, you watching that ad buys this whiskey. And that's all it does. If that's all it does,
I think we should probably share it.
we're sharing it. Yeah. Well, just in this glass.
I've been telling
This
everyone
exact
we've been
whiskey.
sponsored by a whiskey company, unbeknownst
this
to me.
amount of whiskey right here. I think our last check was
Too bad I
for
stopped drinking.
ones of dollars. No, but we
Our $11 checks stack up nice.
oh God, do they ever? You can start a war with those things. We appreciate it. I understand it's kind of it's like the shitty part of this whole
Do
new
they get the countdown
world.
for 5 seconds and then skip it?
I don't know. Maybe.
I hope so.
I hope so too. I lost control of it. They used to be able to put skippable ads for 5 seconds, and I just clicked on it, and I was like, hey, that's fine. So anyways, we thank you guys. You guys are helping us out in a major way just by suffering through some of these ads. Also,
Sorry about the ads.
yeah, I mean, I'm just.
Next time it kicks in, we should all just.
Was it a good ad?
It's never a good ad.
I'd love to know
Sometimes.
if you get an ad. Tell me on your comments if you're commenting on ads. Tell me what the ads are.
Long fence ads are great.
Hold on. He got kicked off. The ads are now kicking people off. These bully ass
No way.
ads.
Wait, who got kicked off?
Jesus.
Someone got kicked off for some ads. Oh, ad kicked off. Oh,
We're gonna have to crack some heads.
I'm going to say this real quick. Rob H said it, and they're discussing receiver. I do believe we signed, if it's not Hollywood, a Hollywood type,
Yep.
a I would say more diminutive Smurf type speedster that will pop the cover off a defense. If Cliff Kingsbury wants to utilize the whole entire field, we're going to need some speed, some more speed, and everyone's going to have speed.
Commander version of the cheetah.
Exactly, but it doesn't have to be that big of a prototype. We just need a guy that could maybe get Terry and the boys open underneath a little bit. But if we could get one of those cheetahs, that'd be just fine too. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I think we're going to have some young, youthful, just burners showing up at camp. I think we're going to try and show the world with our new quarterback and our new arsenal that we're going to be able to spread this ball all across the length and width.
I think I should
of the field.
Go with bike shorts on.
I'm going everywhere with bike shirts on this spring. I'm telling you.
You've got them.
I'm bringing it back.
I know, we've seen them.
I'm bringing it back.
I was thinking along the same lines as what you're saying right now, and so I spent just a couple.
We also
seconds.
do need a big boy wide receiver, but I'm telling you what's going to happen in this air raid Cliff Kingsbury offense. The speedsters, the little speedsters are coming, man. They're coming.
My guy, who I don't know if we have a legitimate chance of getting him, Xavier Worthy, the wide receiver from Texas. He led either NCAA at large or at least the Big 12, but I want to say it was with receiving yards or scrimmage yards and touchdowns. He had like 2,700 yards and 28 touchdowns in the last 2 years. He was instant offense for Texas. If you haven't heard, got a pretty decent team these days. There's 2 receivers from Texas that are slated to be in that bottom of the first, top of the second. I mean, they're not. It's not Marvin Harrison Jr. It's not Romy Adunza, or however you say his name.
He's also a badass dude. But
yeah, I mean, he's going to be drafted in the top 6 or 7 picks.
Yes.
So Xavier Worthy, he's I don't know, he's not under anyone's radar, but he's not going to go ahead of a lot of offensive linemen, edge rushers, quarterbacks, and defensive linemen. So I don't know where he stacks up. Ultimately, he'll probably be bottom of the first, top of the second. I think we have a chance to get him. He's the guy who I would want to come in and do what you just said.
Well, and I agree with that because speed is expensive in the veteran contract world.
Yes.
And speed comes cheap on these rookie deals in the mid rounds. And my big thing here is that's what it is. If Dan Quinn says we're going to be explosive, well, we're not going to have some freaking half-ass speeded receiver group. We're going to have some world-class speed coming to show up at training camp. If this coach says it, I believe it. So.
6'1", runs a 4.2/4.3 40. I think that's fast. It's not as fast as our average time, but it's pretty fast. Pretty fast. Of course, we're not in pads, running. We're just running in bike shorts.
Keep working. You'll get there.
I'm going to get there. Dude,
I never run in bike shorts. You want these thighs to just blatantly catch on fire at a local park?
I don't want you to
soccer practice.
Chris Jones.
How am I going to explain that one?
That singlet doesn't have a chance.
Chris Jones never ever once had to answer to all those Keebler elves running away.
No, he didn't.
Didn't have to say shit about it.
By the way, it just still boggles my mind that happened, and he turns into. I mean, he's on a Hall of Fame trajectory. I mean, he's not there, but he's close.
I almost handed it to him that day.
I mean, you come back
deserved.
When your nuts fall out of your clothes when you're running a 40-yard dash when you're trying to get into the league.
I hate to tell you this, Ken, but those weren't. That was not nuts.
That was all.
He's running his dick off. Man.
It was a lot. It was a fruit basket, but
it's what my dad told me to do.
I mean, he ran so fast.
Oh my God, I thought it was
his dick fell out.
it didn't fall out.
Pet birds' heads are falling off. Everything's happening, and he's turned into literally one of the greatest defensive linemen in the game. I don't know that he's going to go to the Hall of Fame, but he's tracking. He's got some work to do, but he's freaking.
I have deleted my last 13 sentences run from my brain to my mouth. So I would appreciate if you guys kept talking.
Yes, we'll keep going.
Something's going to happen.
I don't think
he's at an advantage when he's able to jam with 3 arms at one time.
There you go.
For God's sake.
Now you're talking.
The old okie doke. Like, wait a minute.
Does he have 3 arms down?
How do you hand fight this son of a bitch?
In the dirt?
That gets me in the shoulders and the stomach every time, Coach.
I mean, really? You could have said chin.
I know.
He's Very
I don't know that we
He's
can.
very tall.
I don't know that we can handle a corner in free agency, Greg.
And why did that hit just get 36 hits? That site just got 36 hits.
We're trending on the dark web. We're trending on the dark web.
I think it's everyone loves fudge. Again, everyone loves fudge.
Let's see here. We already got. Greg Martin says we need a corner. Of course we do. But I don't know that we can afford a free agent, a top-notch free agent corner.
Is there anything we don't need?
We don't need. Yeah, of course there is.
A staff.
We don't need
it. We're good. We're staffed.
We're good on punter.
We're fully staffed.
So we're
good on punter.
We're good on punter. We're good on defensive tackle. Probably.
Everybody sleep well.
Solid
we're
as
good
shit
on punter.
But we're good on punter.
He did have his worst year this past year, by the way.
By the way, just so you know, we all love Tressway. He's been one of the better players on our roster, which is super sad over the last 10 years. And he gets shit on by the league because every year I'm always like, for sure this is going to be the year like he's first team all pro, and then there's like some guy out there who's averaging 10 more yards a punt. I'm like, even our best player who we love, who is the most consistently good, dependable player on our entire roster over all these terrible, awful, bad, amazingly disgusting years, and even he's not like the best at his position. And he's not. And to be honest with you, and to be totally, I probably will never repeat this in mixed company. But he hasn't been in like the top 2 or 3 for in the league, and it's terrible.
The next time I'm in mixed company discussing NFL punters, I would prefer someone punted me directly in the crotch and asked me to leave politely.
Yes, you better. How dare you bring up punters in this mixed company? So we don't need it. We don't need to start an defensive tackle, but we need so much stuff. This is what is leading me to believe that this. I think the mandate. I'm gonna go so far as to say there is a mandate, or at least a strong suggestion from on high that says trade the F down, get multiple. A trade down more than a few picks gets us an extra first rounder in the next 2 drafts out of the gate. So we trade first rounders with somebody and we get 2 more firsts in the next 2 years, plus some side dishes like a 3rd or 4th or even potentially, depending on how far down it is, a second. I don't want to move down to our normal spot at 17. We always draft at 17.
No. Just far enough that we can get a quarterback.
Far enough that
perhaps what you said, some side dishes. So if Jaden Daniels is the guy, if we think that's the case, let's just say we think it's the case. Mm-hmm. We can slide back to like 7, and then he disappears. Oh, I'm so sad. We get a 15-year left tackle.
Yep.
So there's so many options there. Like I want to talk draft because we've just been mock drafting, and I know free agency starts first. It's kind of weird because I kind of want to go the guys in the draft and then pick free agency guys just based on this year's team. You know?
It's so tough because
how do you start off with free agents? You have to get the guys that are the moral guy, but you lose those guys, and you wind up having to get second, third options. And
you can't lock yourself down in free agency. You can't leave holes because you're going to get someone in the draft, because that's not how the world works.
No. That's so frustrating.
It's so frustrating. You got to take your money. You got to get the best players available for your money that fit your system, that want to come here, that you want to come here, and you got to build a roster around that. And so that tells me and tells everybody that our draft needs will absolutely change. The players that we are going, the positions that we're going to target with our top picks, let's say our top 4 picks, wherever they are, may not be the same in a month from now as they are today. And that's that's kind of like the way the cookie crumbles. It's like if you sign Mike Evans, obviously you're probably not drafting a wide receiver anywhere close to the top 2 or 3 rounds. If you sign, you're looking for. How about this? The one position that I think is safe. Like if we sign, like there's no offensive tackles that I'm like that I want to pay top dollar for, and so I think that our need for offensive tackle will still exist at a super high level come draft day.
That'll be one of the most important and most difficult positions to figure out for Adam Peters.
Yeah,
it's for obvious reasons that we don't need to say out loud. I mean, for God's sake, we got to shore it up. We got a lot of work to be doing on that offensive line, first and foremost, but I do believe in us We know where it's built. So does Adam Peters, Dan Quinn. These guys understand that our offensive and defensive line are of the utmost priority after quarterback. I mean, sheesh. What else could it possibly be? But never in any draft year has it ever been easier, I think, for a front office to draft best player available because of all the opportunities to start on our franchise right now.
And if you trade down into the bottom of the top 10, like with Atlanta or Minnesota, for example, who might be looking to pop up and get a Drake May or a Jaden Daniels, not only are you still within range of getting an offensive tackle, but you might be in Brock Bowers territory. He might be the best player available at that point in time on a lot of draft boards. You might be in, I don't think Latu, the edge rusher from UCLA, he probably will be gone, but
he's an incredible football player, but some people got him going as late as 25th. It's going to be so much fun to watch this transpire because that dude.
There's a couple guys
much that's still
so studly.
And so many lies.
We haven't even done the combine yet.
So
they
much
haven't done
lying.
interviews yet.
Yeah.
I mean,
so in that regard, I do appreciate. And by the way, I think it's the right thing to do because so you have free agency first. This is like a league that got carried away in the worst possible way 15 years ago or whatever it was when you were drafting kids out of college. You're giving them 25, 30, 40, 50 million dollars cash without ever playing it down in the league. Sam Bradford, I think, was the last guy who cashed a check. He got $50 million before he ever played it down.
Yeah, he was the last one that benefited.
Yeah, and so you had this whole system where teams were bending over backwards to pay these college kids this money, and the veterans were like, whoa, wait a second. Like, that's wrong. And they were 100% right. So let's do free agency. Let's let the teams spend their money. Let's get the money out there to the guys who've been playing in the league, who have proven themselves in the league. Let's find out where the holes are, and then the draft.
So the swings and misses aren't as bad as they used to be, but Adam Peters was on the San Francisco staff in the front office for the Trey Lance debacle, which gives me trepidation about us making that aggressive move, which I don't think we can afford to do, but I just still will always stick with this. Mm-hmm. I would. Risk and reward considered and understood. I was here in RG3 like the rest of us. I would do anything in my power to go and get Caleb Williams. Now, with that being said, I just don't see it. I don't see Adam Peters saying, here's how I'm going to put my stamp on this new franchise. I'm going to dive into the similar mistake that that's caused this franchise and the worst thing that my franchise did, which was just
sell the farm for him.
Yes, for who you thought you were supposed to. And then the farm is no longer.
And we've reviewed that
farmable
Rams trade
I
a million times. I'm just of course. But the Rams didn't.
Farmable is not a good.
They didn't win. No one won. If anything, we won on that trade because we had a rookie of the year. We went to the playoffs. It was awesome. It was an electric scenario. Haloti Nagata, blew up our guy, and it was never the same after that. And I think that's the fact of life. But I look at Eugene Shen, since T brought him up, and then Kevin started talking about him, and Adam Peters and Josh Harris. And Josh Harris, even as a sports owner has shown himself to be smart enough to, even here in the NFL, but in his history, he's like, hey, I'm going to hire people to get it done. But he led the famous Joel Embiid, tank process. He led the famous, the 76ers tank. I mean, he is a guy who appreciates draft capital. I have a hard time believing that he's not saying make that first trade and then if you can do it again because there's a chance you could basically say we're going to get a ton of second and third round picks this year and a low first, and then have 2 or 3 first round picks for the next couple of years with multiple second day picks. Now that's possible. I don't think I don't know that that's likely, but it's there for you. When you're drafting number 2 overall, if you drop down into that 7 or 8 spot, we just said names: Latu, Bowers, Olu-Fashamu, Alt. If those guys are sitting there when we draft, someone's going to be calling.
And you know how quarterbacks all of a sudden get all gussied up and go from mid-second rounders to all of a sudden someone panics and has J.J. McCarthy with the 15th pick.
J.J. McCarthy
this is the type of shit that's going to happen.
Going to Denver at number 12, I believe, to Sean Payton. But Penix, he could easily fall to the second round.
It's Penix.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Are you serious, Clark?
I thought it was peanut.
I thought it was Penix. I thought we were pronouncing it. I thought we had decided as a group we were going to pronounce it Penix. You don't like you don't like Penix?
Right. Whatever.
Are you saying you don't support Penix on our team?
I do not.
Are you familiar with Penix?
Do you know what Penix is all about?
Yes.
Because
nice guy to have a hot dog with.
Penix brings it every day. We are. In fact, that could
Caleb Williams is not going to be a bust, sir. Sorry.
Who's saying that? This is Greg.
Just.
Who's saying he's going to be a bust?
If he is, I'll have to go do a podcast for a different sport because he's the best football player I've seen at the grade school, high school, and college level combined. Always, I've seen him do 25 amazing things I've never seen anyone else ever do. Or else I'm not on the hype train. I've called one more Caleb Williams game than you guys because Jeff Clay wanted me to go down there and do it. And Tony Lamarzi. So I'm saying, I mean, the three of us would know. And there's the first thing that we all agreed upon ever, because we argued about everything for the first 5 years.
He looked different right away. He looked different.
Yeah, and even T. And T's not a typical lover of that style of quarterback. T likes a big, strong,
that's why
thick,
they call it prototypical
veiny
quarterback.
Prototype quarterback.
A lot of girth. Lots of girth. He likes the girth.
Yep.
Caleb does not fit.
True.
Prototypical.
No.
But he also
is a special football
things
player.
That you're right. I've never seen.
Me neither. Do. That's it. In fact, that's all. I'm not saying that translates to this, that, or the other, but I'm like, he is ahead of anyone else. And we've been watching this forever religiously, and we've never seen anything like him.
Never.
I have come around on him because I also have seen him throw on time. I've also seen him have good footwork. I also see him work on that stuff. I know the people personally who work with him on that stuff. He's not Johnny Manziel. He's not. He's not. He's got what it takes to play the position.
Oh yeah.
Plus something else.
I agree.
100%. That's a fact. I'm holding out. I don't know if I should say that I'm holding out hope, but I guess I'm holding like a small part of me that is saying to myself that depending on how free agency goes and how that moves the draft board, that there's a chance that I guess since I hate being fence straddler, I'll say I think Sam Howell will be our starting quarterback next year on week 1. And I don't know. I'm not. That might be we draft like a Penix in the second round, and we're getting him ready to go. By the way, he also
inspired me to draft a Penix myself.
Yes, I got Penix on the brain. The ball comes out of his hands in a special way. I think he's going to be a good pro quarterback. And I think that I think he has flaws that people are going to work themselves up over in the next couple of months. That's going to push him down the draft board. But I think he's a guy that gets in this league and proves that he belongs. And I like it. So I would love to see a guy like him get picked up in like maybe you make a move to the top of the second to get him. And then I'll throw one other name out for a quarterback, and this is a outside the box addition. This is if you're going with Sam Howell, if you say to yourself, we got some offensive linemen, we signed Patrick Queen, we spent all our money to build this roster. We have a 4 or 5 year window, and we picked up a ton of draft picks for the next 2 years, and you kind of come to grips with the fact that you're going to go with Sam this year, going to save some money there, and continue to build so that you can make the push in 1 or 2 years for that franchise quarterback. There's the kid out of Tennessee. Is it Joe Milton? Mm-hmm. I understand like this isn't a guy that there's for obvious reasons he's not being picked to be drafted in the top of the first round. He's probably not being picked to start anywhere next year or the following year. But there's something about him that I really like. He can play in this league, and I think for the right coach, there's packages that he could probably be a part of right away as a rookie. Again, I went down the rabbit hole hard for the quarterbacks, trying to figure, and maybe I was trying to figure out a way that Sam Howell would be the guy. I like Joe Milton. In fact, I would say I love Joe Milton. He's so imperfect. He's not a guy that you're gonna.
I think Joe would love you.
I hope so. He's tough. He's strong. He's physical. He's athletic.
Because I don't know if anybody else.
He's strong.
I don't know if anybody else has ever
Ken
talked about him.
Ken like his strength. He said he liked his strength.
I like his strength. I love his strength. I listen. I'm going out on the tiniest of limbs here. I can honestly say there's probably nobody out there saying
I was drafting a Phoenix while you were writing Joe Milton a love letter.
Yes.
So I was lost.
Dear Joe.
But I know the ending.
All right, so we don't talk about Joe Milton until next week.
This is my little Joe Milton.
Oh, that's so good.
I didn't know you were such an artist.
That's like super bad in the corner. It's like a scene from Star Wars. That was like
once I heard Joe Milton, I drifted off into the abyss.
Like Han Solo and a Tauntaun romantically cuddling in the snow.
When I woke up, Ken was admitting he loved Joe Milton.
Ken's eyes rolled behind his head. He just started
He was
scribbling.
like, oh, this is going to be a veiny Tauntaun.
I think it'll be powder for Halloween this year.
This Tauntaun has a skin.
There's an ad, a timely ad. Once again, everyone just got kicked off.
I don't even know what happened to
I
we
know,
have ads.
guys. What happened? Are we back?
Yeah.
How's everyone's Phoenix?
Is the Washington State? Yes, AGH. He is. Washington. Yeah, Washington. UW. All right, so that kind of covers our draft primer. All right, so we have, we're gonna dig more into the draft next week's. There'll be free agency. We have a couple of weeks to get really, well versed in what we want. We got to know what we want. I think Patrick Queen's the guy that I want the most. Can't say it enough, and I'm gonna annoy myself by saying it too much. These guys got to want to come here. I think Dan Quinn helps them make that decision. I think our coaching staff helps them believe that this is a place that they want to come. I think we have some players on the roster. I don't think there's a linebacker worth his salt that doesn't want to come play behind Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne.
For Ken Norton Jr.
All these things do
and
work
Ryan
in
Kerrigan,
our favor.
the assistant linebacker coach.
Right.
And I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, that's the bet. By the way, that's the only thing we have in terms. I'll rephrase that. That's the best thing we have to offer any free agent is a free agent linebacker. The opportunity to play behind two of the best defensive tackles, in the league. We don't have anything else to offer a position player better than that.
That's fair.
Yeah,
That's
so
fair.
that's the best thing.
We don't have a quarterback to offer to the receivers just yet.
Don't have a line to offer to a quarterback.
Oh, I forgot about that part.
We don't have a lot. But if you're a linebacker, you do want to play behind those two guys. That helps. He's my number one pick too, Kev. Patrick Queen is the guy we should be targeting. He should get all of our monies.
Someone else said Devin White down there, same deal. Let him run wild. He's a bit of a head case. Patrick Queen's more of a either way.
Devin does not want to come
here. I would take a guy.
I think Devin's staying in the South.
So a dude with some tackling and fuel, a Bobby Boucher type. We haven't had that. Jamin Davis tried. He tried. Jamin Davis has gotten to the point where I believe he can run and make plays.
Yes.
He needs a stay-at-home type pig, a middle, inside,
that
can also run and make plays. And that would be so nasty.
Yeah.
Let Ken get a hold of those young bucks and see what happens.
I agree. I think that Patrick Queen, if he's our number one target, we can give him something that he should want. And ultimately
something to believe in, Ken?
Yeah, something to believe in. A little something to believe in, Brett Michael style. Any other thoughts on the draft before we close that out?
Well, I have a million thoughts on the draft, and here's my final one.
All right.
We'll get into it. As of today, I don't want Drake May. And I've been watching a lot of Jaden Daniels and talking about the O-line coach and runners, and he can fly, but he can fling it.
Yep.
And I just know this. I right now today don't want Drake May. That's all.
I also
his personality in a couple interviews really blew me away the wrong way, and I didn't like it. It wasn't bad. He's not a bad kid. It just his brother Luke was like a very stone cold, great power forward in the ACC. Drake May, they seem very like grumbling. They don't seem the type of guy that has the ability on or off the field to be our guy.
Yeah,
the way we want the quarterback to be our guy. That's all. We'll see. I might be wrong. I probably am because I usually am.
I don't want Drake May either, and one of my main reasons why is, so as you all know, I love Justin Herbert. I know we had a chance at him, and we didn't take him. Everyone wants to say Drake May is a Justin Herbert comp, and all I will say to that is this. Justin Herbert's a producer. He's clearly a very, very good passer. He's a big, strong, athletic guy. But, and it's a big but, like, he hasn't been the difference maker on his team. And you're talking about a defense that has Khalil Mack, Bosa, and Derwin James, amongst others. You're talking about having Austin Eckler. You're talking about having Keenan Allen and Josh Palmer and Quentin Johnston. You're talking about decent offensive linemen. I believe multiple offensive linemen on that squad. That's great. So you're talking about a pretty decent squad that things have gone the wrong way. They've had injuries. They've lost close games. It's been weird. And I love Justin Herbert. But don't sell me Drake May because he's another Justin Herbert. It's just not going to work. It's not going to work for me.
He's freakishly talented with all the tools.
Yes.
He can throw the ball.
He's green.
Yeah.
I think he's green.
He just doesn't play the position with rhythm.
He doesn't have as much experience. I think he actually was I love basketball first guy. And
I think so. He's a soulless quarterback. He hasn't figured out what he is, what he wants to be, how he does it. He's an athlete, a tremendously God-gifted athlete at a position that you need the connect to happen. And I don't see the connect.
I'd rather have Sam than Drake.
Well, so did North Carolina 2 years ago. And by the way, Drake wasn't the backup. He split time as the backup, barely won the job in the spring, and then blossomed. God bless him. But when the air raid came in, it matched up with his arm versus the other guy. And the other guy was a bit of a move the ball type, and life is such. But for us, if we have Sam Howell, it's really hard to digest. Is it not? Taking Drake May with the second pick?
I can't digest it. And I just fall back on this idea that Caleb Williams is not available. And
I'm comfortable going forward with that idea in my head.
The reason why it's kind of like a security blanket thought. We can't have we're
not in a position to just mortgage the future with a new GM and a new staff and a new everything.
But
unless
we
are.
But so Kevin, here's we agree, because here's what I'm saying. I don't think the pick is available. I think Chicago has made up their mind and they're taking
Fair.
it.
Please tell us that. Just tell us.
Just tell us that. And so I will advocate for the trading back and stocking of draft picks for the next couple of years as a means to being able to draft up, to trade up and take the number one alpha dog quarterback in one of the next 2 or 3 drafts. So if we trade
2 or 3,
well, then either next year, if we can't get, so that means the next 2 after this one. One of the next 2 after this one.
And then we're going to have to pay a shit ton for a borderline turd backup.
Well, all I'm saying is if we trade back this year and start stockpiling some picks, understanding that we can't get the best guy this year, we will have the ammo to get the best guy.
We're never getting higher than second after we hired Dan Quinn and this staff, in my opinion.
Well, no. I'm just saying we'll have picked up trade. We'll have picked up first and second.
That's what he's saying.
I know the draft capital you're talking about, but that's just as risky as trading up for Caleb Williams right now. In fact, maybe less risky.
It might be less risky.
Well, you got a quarterback later that we don't care about now. What are we, wimpy on Tuesdays with hamburgers? I know, but I do want all the draft capital for the rest.
No. I'm saying
for the rest of the
I'm
spot,
saying if we don't, if like Chicago doesn't want our ammo right now, they don't want our.
Oh no.
Picks.
I'm with that.
So, but if we if we save our ammo and actually build more bullets, so next year
we're never getting a higher draft pick than second for the
no.
However,
that's Ken's scenario is.
I'm saying we trade up to get that guy.
That's what I'm saying. But we're not getting that. That's a huge amount of capital.
That's what I'm saying.
For a guy that's
start saving.
More
saving
of a risk.
Start saving.
Who we're talking about?
No. We can't get Caleb.
Who this person is yet.
We might
I get it.
There might be you never know when the next 6'5" prototype is. He's playing right now somewhere. He's a freshman somewhere or a sophomore somewhere. God, we've had some of these conversations in the past and it's been terrible. I can think right off the top of my head. But the idea that
this is why, as a scarred man and a huge fan of Caleb Williams High School's rivalry on the other side,
I know.
I have no skin in this game. This causes me strife. Everyone on my side, every St. John's person's like, "What's your deal with Ken?" I'm like, I'm telling you, he's the best football player I've ever seen in my life. So
yes,
I don't know how else to say it. I don't know what else to say. I don't want to be
totally be willing to trade up and mortgage the future for him.
Right. No,
but if we can't do it,
I understand we cannot.
But if we,
I'm not saying we should
I'm not saying. All I'm saying is, on one hand, if we just accept, just for the sake of this argument, that he's not available, that we can't trade up for him this year.
I know, I'm in that.
Then somebody might be coming in the draft in the next couple of years that we could throw a bunch of ammo at because he the number one quarterback in a subsequent draft. That's all I'm saying.
I know, but I love you dearly. The NFL doesn't have a couple years, and neither do we. We've already given all we got.
We don't get Caleb this year. Jaden Daniels and Drake May aren't that.
I really enjoy Jaden Daniels.
Okay,
dude, he's got a howitzer.
So we
he can
two
fly.
and
He's a freak athlete. No, but he's also about to be 24,
which isn't a bad thing.
No, not for the first contract or the second.
Yep.
But what's his ceiling?
24.
He's 23. He turns 24 in December.
6 years in college.
I think. By the way, that's a feather in his cap.
From Arizona. No. He went to LSU. He won a big boy ball. He wanted all this.
Yep.
And I love listening to him talk.
I
think he's going to be a heck of a good football player.
I do as well. And
I do believe he suits all the peoples we're talking about.
How long ago did Kirk leave us?
I don't know. It was like
2019-ish.
Uncomfortable.
Something like that. 2017, 2018, something like that.
I remember at the time saying our future franchise quarterback may not have had pubes.
Yeah, no,
right.
I thought of that. That's what I was saying. That's exactly the thought. I wasn't going to repeat it, but yeah, that's what we said. We said they didn't have pubes yet.
So where's he at now, Mr. Pube Scientist?
Mr. Pube Whisperer. You're a Pube Whisperer.
I didn't know you're a Pube Scientist.
He whispers to pubes. What are they saying? I don't know. They're rowdy. They're very
stand down, pubes.
He was young. That's
they're
all I was
super
saying.
Rowdy bunch.
There's no science to it.
I mean, you. By the way, you saw his chair lower.
Close.
His chair lowers.
It's weird science.
His chair lowers to pube level.
I don't think May had pubes at the time.
You're like, set chair to pube level. And next thing you know, he's talking to your pubes.
But we can't be sure. We can't be sure.
We're not going to find out. We're not going to investigate.
So, Jaden, this question comes from T. Strachan.
They were 11, 12.
It involves your pubes.
I don't know.
If your pubes could talk or whisper, what would they say to Tim Strachan? Hey, everybody. It's the muff mic.
It's a rowdy bunch.
It's a rowdy bunch. Thank you. All right. Well, I think we did it tonight. We did it again. We had 2 shows.
I want to know who won Super Bowl.
All right. Let's go through them. Everyone who's still with us, help us out. Heads or tails? We all picked tails. It was heads. Bam, bam, bam. Spread. San Francisco 2.5. Kansas City plus 2.5. I believe. Kansas City won by 3, correct?
25-22.
That's 2 for you guys. The over-under 43.5. No, 48.5. 48.5 was under.
25-22.
One winner there. Patrick Mahomes, 262.5 passing yards. Do we know how many he had?
No.
All right, let's pull this up. Let's pull it up. AGH.
I did that night.
I know, I did too. It seems like a year ago. I don't know what. We're getting all kinds of. All right, here we go.
While we're waiting, the board can weigh on who they think won this competition.
It wasn't me. So sorry to ruin.
Did you just take yourself off the table?
I just took myself off the table. You guys can pick somebody else, but it wasn't me.
Just ripped those pubes out and threw them out the window, didn't you?
All right, so here we go. Time. Box score. All right. Patrick Mahomes, 262.5 passing yards. He got 333. That's the over. 2 wins. Brock Purdy, 246.5 passing yards. He got 255 passing yards. The over hit. 2 wins.
His rush attempts are tremendous. His rush yards. Go ahead.
Travis Kelce, 71.5 receiving yards.
Yeah.
He got 93. Yeah. Over. 6.5 receptions. He got 9. Yeah. Over. over. Deebo Samuel, 59.5 receiving yards. He got 33. 2 unders win. I lose. 4.5 catches. He got 3. All the unders win. A lot of unders there. George Kittle, 47.5 receiving yards. He got not a lot. 4.
Yeah, he was.
We all hit the under there.
4?
All of us hit the under. Except for T, who said the over. 3.5 catches. Kevin hits the under. Ken and T.
George Kittle didn't post.
Nope. Brandon Ayuk, 63.5 receiving yards. He got 49. Under hits. Receiving receptions, 4.5. He got 3. Under hits. Christian McCaffrey, receiving yards, 33.5. He got
40 some?
80.
Yeah.
Over hits. Rushing,
yeah.
91.5. He got 80. Under hits. So that's T wins both. Catches 4.5. He had 8. That hits for everybody. His carries 18.5. He had 22. T loses.
Wow.
Kevin can win. Rashee Rice, 67.5 receiving yards. He got 39.
I was going to say, I did not remember him being a factor, but I knew he had a catch or two.
You had the over. CMC total,
Nice.
130.5 yards. He got the over there. T loses. All right. Brock Purdy, 12.5 rushing yards. He got 12.
Took a knee.
Oh, wow.
Took a knee.
We all
Took
lost.
a knee.
We all
That
lost there.
counts?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, we
Took
were
a
0.5
knee.
down.
Wow.
Took a knee.
Patrick Mahomes, 25.5 rushing yards. He got a shitload, 66. Everyone wins. Isaiah Pacheco, he had 15.5 carries.
Pacheco.
I'm sorry. Yeah, 15.5
I
carries.
believe it's Pacheco.
It's Pacheco. Everyone knows that. He had 18. You guys both lose there. I win. Rushing yards, 67.5. He got 59. The under hits. You guys both win that one, and I lose.
How many freaking bets did we take? What were we drinking?
I know,
weeks
right?
ago?
Bosa with a sack. Let's see. Bosa
Don't
with
show
a sack.
that image, Ken.
Bosa sack. He had 0 sacks. We all said he was going to have a sack. He
Why
did
is
not.
that in your search history?
Chase Young with a sack. I say no. The answer is yes. You guys win and I lose. Chris Jones with a sack. He did not have a sack. We all win that one. All right.
Yeah, he's never been about that sack.
I don't think we have a tiebreaker. Oh, Taylor Swift over under. I don't even know how to rate this.
It was officially 9.
It was 9?
That's what I got. That's how many I counted.
All right.
9 during the game.
All right, so let's count them up. T, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 for T.
This would be tough to
Kev,
beat.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Wow.
2-way tie so far. Ken, I ain't going to get it, boys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 3-way tie. No way.
That's a goocher.
All right.
Everyone
fair.
loses. Either everyone wins or everyone loses. That's
Well,
unbelievable.
Apparently, all of us won.
That's
and
the most
all of
bets
you
ever.
lost.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, they were excited.
It's so
They
hard.
feel they're excited for us.
All right. I think they are.
We just tied. I don't know who's excited about any of this
Ken.
shit.
We had a lot of thumbs up.
But I also
Ken
think it's a
loves
great
ties.
ending.
Ken
I
loves
think it was a
ties.
great ending.
Ties benefit a good team. T, as
I
you
think
well
the
know.
tiebreaker should have been the Taylor Swift.
Actually, we have a tiebreaker. The tiebreaker was, what does that say? Tiebreaker is what, point rules, something like that. What does that say?
It says
We have a tiebreaker.
Anybody need
And I'm pretty good at this, but Mr.
I think
Only,
it's total points.
Taylor Swift over under tiebreaker.
Is it 25-22?
I have no idea what that list language is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Ring.
Either. I don't know. It has something. Maybe it's
Does anyone have a dong ring? It says.
It's a dong ring.
I don't.
Also,
I don't. Do I win or lose?
Was there a muff?
Wait a second.
I don't.
I think there was a muff. I think there was a muff. Point. Either way.
There were some people hoping I pulled one out. I'm telling you.
Oh God.
I was the
It
closest.
smells terrible in here.
Oh no. Price is Right rules. That's what it says.
Yes.
Closest
On the
without going
over-under.
over. And it was
47.
He had 45. I had 48. You had 49.
Did it. I
All right,
finally
Kevin.
Fire
won the dong ring championship of the universe. I've been aspiring.
You're gonna
to
get the
this.
biggest muff bronco of your life tonight.
You get a prize from
You're
the.
so excited.
You get a prize from the prize.
You get a prize from the prize. I will pick out someone's name from a
prize.
hat.
This has only been rifled through on 3 passes.
Here's the
I
deal.
would like a 2-passer. if I
Here's the
could.
deal.
Is there a 2-passer?
You've got. So I will announce the winner on the show next week. You have to be a follower of. You have to follow me on Twitter so I can DM you with. Slide into your DMs with. Get some.
This is your way of getting friends.
Oh no. Twitter's the worst place in the world to get friends. But at It's Raining Ken. Now I'll put that all up next week. Got to be a subscriber. Got to be a follower. And we will mail you free stuff. That's all that matters. And so many of you already are. Kilroy was here.
He really was. He looked so
was here.
confused.
We're back in 7 days to talk about free agency. And at that point in time,
Thank
we'll
you guys.
be
You're
less than 2
incredible.
weeks away, right? We'll be under 2 weeks to the
Free agency.
to the tapering
window.
period. We'll also be coming off an amazing weekend of high school basketball. We'll mix that in. We'll have our voices will be shot, but it will be awesome time.
Calling 6 games.
We're calling 6 games.
Yeah.
A couple years ago we did
6 games.
We
in 2
did
days.
10.
We did.
And I think
It's
Kevin,
a record.
Kevin said no one's
Never
ever,
been done.
never's going to do it again.
Never will.
No,
No way.
we will do it again.
Well, fair.
Yeah, because this year we're streaming the quarters, but we're not calling them. But that's only a matter of
The
time.
only reason we didn't because we couldn't figure out how to be at Gallaudet and DeMatha at the same time. It's just that was
Yeah, and in the
We'll
pandemic,
figure that
fair.
out. We'll
Very
figure
fair.
that
they
out.
brought them all to Robinson for us.
We'll
that
get
one year.
there. We'll get there.
We'll figure it out.
We'll get
Shout out to our friends at Robinson. If they're watching. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you guys next week. Until then,
Thank you guys for hanging, man.
Tim Strachan.
Can't wait.
Kevin
Sorry we
Ricca.
missed you last week.
I'm
I
Ken
think
Meringolo.
we did it. We all did it wrong.
Thank God it's Tuesday. Still live.
Later. A lot of dong talk.
A decent amount of dong
It
talk.
was dong themed.
It was
this evening.
dongerific.
No
Yeah,
muff
I mean,
talk.
I mean,
all dong talk. And there was a muff in the Super Bowl.
I mean, 2 rights always.
Was that technically a muff? Because it hit off someone's foot. But the guy who, but the
That is not a
returner
muff.
tried to catch it. But the returner tried to catch it, and
It does not fit the definition
Yeah.
of muff.
well, you are a muff whisperer.
No, I'm a lawyer.
Unless someone
I'm
has
a lawyer.
a
and the
connecting,
definition.
You're
a
a muff lawyer.
Does not
a
fit.
connecting toe muff.
If it
could
does not
be
fit-
described in the court of law differently.
must
there
quit.
could be a whole new case.
It was not a muff.
You're a public defender
Could
of
be
muff.
a muff. Could
A
be
mufflick.
connection
You're a
of the
mufflick
muff.
defender.
Someone's gonna have to diagram.
Are you trying to?